Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Legion Lads. I am your host, JR, and today I got Jose. What's up, Jose?
Yo,
So, not a whole lot of Star Wars news going on this week. Just want to point out VetFest, guys. Every episode, I'm going to keep shoving it down your throat. That is July 13th, and then the league rounds on July 14th. Hopefully, Rob's not here to talk about that, but um, sign up. It's all you gotta do is pay for the entrance fee to VetFest, and you can play in the tournament. Signups will be in the description, along with the Longshanks to get into the tournament. And yeah, let's have a good game. It is a LVO qualifier, which I'm excited for. I think this might be the only LVO qualifier tournament I'm going to be able to go to. What about you, Jose?
it's the only one that I plan to go to. Works a little crazy, because I just started. So the perks don't really start rolling in for like another month, where I could take days off and have like time off and stuff like that to actually plan these things. So right now, that seems like it's the only one I'm gonna go to, unless the boys in Bakersfield can somehow get one situated. But other than that, I mean, planned for just that one. And to be honest, like I'm glad it's just the one day because my daughter's birthday is the party is the next day. So if I magically somehow if there was a day two, I would have to draw it. So
Yeah.
what do
Yeah,
you
I
think
mean,
you're taking?
oh man, I've been going back and forth with everything, man. I'm like, I could take EXD, but I think that's boring. I want to take Asajj and Maul. I think that would be fun. I want to take Vader with the Inquisitors. I think that would be fun. I want to take the Ewok list. I took the LVO. I think that would be fun. Like, there's so many lists that I want to do. Like, I'm cooking up some more lists that are just fun lists, in my opinion. But it's just a matter of what I feel like at the time. Like, honestly,
You haven't played Maul competitively in how long?
since the last LVO, or not last, but the one before that.
Yeah, when you went with the Shadow Collective.
Yeah, and I kind of do want to take Asajj because I love Asajj Kit. I think she's really good. And I think that'd be fun. Maybe I'll take that to LVO this year, but who knows? If I don't get a qualifier, I'll just go to the tournament before and see if we get in that way.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I still want to play games, still want to have fun. But yeah, anyways, VetFest, July 13, guys. Signups will be in the description. Yeah, let's have some fun. Moving on, we got the Legion Lads League. Um, you know where your standing is right now, Jose?
Terrible. I've only won one game, and yeah, I should have. What I should have did is I should have just played my fallback and just played Anakin Pikes. I'd be so much better off with Anakin Pikes, but I was trying all kinds of different lists. Like my first list I played in my first game was against Nick, and that was double saber tank with Ayla and
Mm,
a bunch of clone ball meat. And then my second game I played was against you, and that was Inferno Squad, Aiden, I two ISFs, and Callus was like the meat of that list. I got destroyed by double inquisitors. And then my third list was Anakin Obi Commandos and Clone Ball Beef. And then my last game, which is the one I won, which was Dooku and B1 spam with some melee BXs in there, which ended up winning. Everything else lost, but this list, and the weird thing was that list wasn't even supposed to get into a gunfight. That list was meant to just run forward and start slapping everything, and it ended up just shooting everything off the table.
that's what I like about the league. Is like every round you can just bring a new list to play with. Like
Yeah.
so far, I brought the Inquisitors, Vader with Inquisitors, and then the clones with two ISPs. Um, but I don't know what I'm gonna run this next round. And then yeah, like I want to do eventually do a battle force of Wookiees. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And then Geonosians, and then I want to run the battle force, the three ATSCs. I think that'd be
Oh
fun too.
God.
As much as I hate on battle forces, man, I do like the like list building wise of just like what you could take that is just this is just fun to play, you know?
Yeah, they are fun.
Yeah. But yeah, as of right now, the Lisa League, your top runner-ups are Rob and I at 3 wins. Nick has two. Daniel, you, and Scott both have one. And sadly, Roman is at 0. So Roman is up
He'll
for
beat me.
going
He'll
into the
beat me.
Bart League.
He'll beat me.
He might get demoted to the Bart League. Honestly, he'll probably have more fun because it seems like the Bart League is having the most fun out of the seven.
Yeah, the Bar League boys are
Yeah.
just having like insane games from what I'm hearing.
Oh
And it's funny
yeah.
because it's not cagey back and forth. It's literally like, I'm just gonna do this. Oh
Yeah.
well.
It's the pinnacle of fun in Star Wars Legion when you first get the game and you're first learning and you just want to run and take whatever you want to take. You're having so much fun. It's no competitive in sight. It's when it starts to get competitive that you start to lose that fun factor. And I feel like that's the place you want to be in the Bart League.
I try
But
to rekindle that in this league and I'm just getting blown out.
it's hard. It's hard because you got people who are just too competitive. I being one of them. So I have no room to talk. But yeah, I try my hardest to not run the same list twice. Um, but it is what it is.
What are you gonna run with Asajj if you play Asajj? Like I don't know. I feel like Asajj is like the same thing like Ahsoka. Like Ahsoka, I feel like I it feels like you need to run Sabine just to have like a more flexible list. And like Asajj, like it's kind of hard to do that with Dooku or anybody else in that format because they're expensive. Like what Asajj and Grievous? That might be fun.
I do want to make Grievous great again. Like it's hard, but I had a lot of fun with Grievous in the beginning, and I really want to make a Dooku and a Saj list work, but it's just too expensive right now. But
Even with B1 spam?
even with B1 span, because I think the most you can get up to is 9. And at that point, you pretty much have a B1 gun line with two force users that got to run in. And as we know, Duke is kind of slow in that department, right?
Mhm.
You could definitely set up some plays, and it's possible. But I don't know. I just feel like Dooku needs something. I think he's good now. Definitely the best duelist. Um, but the way the range, I think it's the range game for me that kind of sucks. And like, we'll get into a topic about it later about the table stuff. I feel like if I start seeing more density tables, I think then they're more viable to play him.
You think CIS needs a new force user, like a cheap force user? I mean, because we've seen leaked already. The ARF troopers for clones, they're getting
Mhm.
it looks like a cheap force user detachment,
Yeah,
which is put into a squad, which is very unique. Because you
yeah.
imagine that force user comes with like immune pierce. Well, how are you gonna pierce those clone boys now?
That's
Then I'll
right.
stop saying snipers are the
Yeah,
answer to clones.
that's right. That would suck. I don't know if they need another force user. I think the force users are just fine. I think Saj is great. Maul's great. Dooku's, it's good, but he just needs something. Um, and honestly, I want new force powers. That's really what I want because force push is just boring. And it's so good that you have to staple it to them. Um, and like they nerfed force choke, they nerfed burst of speed.
I
Like,
still think force chokes were taking.
I don't know. I should run it again, but I feel like for 10 points you take burst of speed, which is hard because if you're on a great table, you don't need burst of speed. Like in that when I say great table for a force user, it's pretty much LOSs. But if you don't have LOSs, like you need burst of speed to close the gap. But with that being said, I do think CIS needs something, and maybe they just need point reductions
Well, they're,
because
they're they're getting the new spider drones and the aqua drones or whatever those things are. So you got some units coming that could be good.
yeah, and I'm excited for those. But I just think like the stuff that Jordicas need a buff in some direction. I think B2s need a buff in some direction. The Geonosians need a big buff because man, I don't know, they're so hard to play.
I don't. The thing is I think you need to play Droidicas out of pure force of will because I don't see them doing anything to Droidicas that just make you want to take them over stats. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
The
There
problem,
that rank is so polluted with better things.
I feel like they need to do something better with the AI stuff because that's what makes B1s and stats really great. Even the AAT is you can daisy chain off of all of them, right? The AAT with the pilot. And like that's what made them so good is their full order control. However, B2s don't have that, Droidicas don't have that, spiders don't have that. Like they kind of fall off the bandwagon because of that reason. And I feel like if maybe they can take um what's that upgrade called where if you draw their order pool you can get aim, dodge, or something like that.
Oh, oh, you're talking about emergency transponder?
Yeah, maybe they could take emergency transponders for free. I don't know. I just feel like B2's in a bad spot, same with Droidicas, because you can't really give them orders. Um, but
I think transponders is, in my opinion, staple to Decas since it's came out.
yeah, but they just don't surge. If they could just surge the hit, that'd be all the difference right there, hands down. Magna Guards, they're still in a good spot. I like the BXs too, so
I need to buy Magna Guards now because I'm gonna try to play more Dooku.
yeah.
I gotta make it like epic and try to get some like nasty rocket launchers in there because those things are dope. Like I like the models. It's just when they came out, so once the AAT dropped, I'd already fallen off of CIS. I was just bored of it. And I just never bought anything else after that. So like I don't have a snail, I don't have Magnas, I don't have
Thank
anything.
you. I do want to.
So
I do want a unit to transport the snail in, or transport, put put the unit in the snail. But I do want to get back to playing CIS because that was my first love and it's really great. Um,
CIS is really fun. Like I forgot how fun CIS is. There's no there's and I say fun because like I forgot how awesome it is to be like, well, no aim, 7 white dice. Oh, look at that, 4 crits. Or here comes this monster pool, and you're just like, oh, they're all dead. Hey, I saved two.
yeah,
It's so
yeah,
fun.
yeah. I like I said, I feel like just right now in the meta, White Saves armies are on the decline because Red Saves armies are so cheap that you can field an actual good army. Where I feel like White Saves they need a little bit. The whole idea around White Saves is that you have a lot of them, so
More
they don't
defensive
hit,
tech.
yeah, they don't hit hard. They just there's a lot of bodies, but now there's kind of like this. Well, Red Saves army have all this defensive tech and they got bodies, and it's just like okay, it's kind of a little unfair, but
It
I
feels like
get
it's become
this.
a heavy weapon game. These heavy weapons that are coming out are like not your old school DC 15s and
Mm.
HH 12s. Like a lot of these new weapons coming out are like chunk. It's crazy.
That's why I think Force Choke should stay the way it did, is because everybody is relying on the heavy weapons, and one Force Choke takes it away. It just neutralizes that unit, which arguably makes the unit not still non-effective, right? It can still go do an objective. It can still punch the Force user to death. It's still in the game as an activation for your activation count. Like I don't know. I think they over dramatically went after Force Choke.
It was a feels bad change for new players. I remember them like I don't know if it was like in an article or on Discord. I remember one of the key changes for that change was the feels bad. It was it was 5 points at that time. It's like, oh, here's 5 points, and you just destroyed my 22-point shotgun.
Mhm. Yeah, it wasn't feels bad. It was a I got your moment, and no one really likes those. And yeah, I get why they did it. It's just it hurt. But to be honest, I'm hoping they come out with Balon Skull and the chick with the white hair and that Shadow guy like that. I play those guys. Those guys would be sick.
I could see Balin, and what's her name? I feel bad because I was all she was my besides Balin, she was like my favorite. Like she was just dope. I can't remember her name. I feel so bad. Actually, in that show for a while, I forgot who Ezra was. I was like, "Who's this guy?"
I
Oh, that's
think
Ezra.
I think the guy that played Ezra did a phenomenal job. It looked just like Ezra, all grown up.
Yeah. What
Um,
was it? What was it? Shakti. What was her name? I'm
Sabine,
gonna. That's bothering me. Hold on.
or the chick with the white
Uh,
hair.
yeah,
Yeah, she was cool.
Balin Skull. Her name is Shinhati.
Oh, she was cool. I played those characters too. But moving on, we got the Bart League. Noah at 4 wins. My cousin showing the Ultra Blood, on top.
Yeah, just crushing people with three ATSTs in the
he,
fun league.
he suckered Robin to be like, I don't know how to play, and then just started crushing everybody.
He's all, I'm just gonna bring three armor units because these guys don't know what they're doing.
You got my boy John. He's the runner up at 3 wins right now. I'm
What's he
rooting.
playing?
He's playing Yoda Commandos. So
Hmm.
yeah, so we've been practicing a lot. Trying to see. He's trying to get into the Lisa League, but he's got to go through my cousin to do it. So, well, that's gonna be a fun one. They're supposed to be having their game hopefully sometime this week, but who knows? Who knows? Then we got Michael and Adam at 2, Brian at 1, and then Alejandro and Pet at 0. So yeah, man, I think
But
we're
they're
having,
having fun.
oh yeah, having the most fun. But yep. Moving on, some more announcements. Looks like they dropped X-Wing and Armada. No more new releases for both those games. I was never into the community of X-Wing. I got some stuff, but I never played. I was thinking about Armada, but then AMG took over and said halt. But now it is official. They're stopping production. They're stopped making units. How do you feel about this?
I wanted to jump into Armada, not Armada, X-Wing. I bought the starter kit and I bought like some of the 2.0 stuff,
Mm.
but I really wanted to get into it when they did those squadron packs because I bought the Kanan Jarrus squad pack just because it had the freaking two Y-wings. I love Y-wings; they're completely behemoth bombing. I'm just in any type of like aerial attack game, like even in the old Rogue Squadron, like nothing beat lining up a shot with your Y wing and then just dropping the payload right below you and watching everything blow up. And then not being able to turn for shit. You're a tanker at that point. But
It's funny as I saw a meme the other day. It's just like, why did the rebels go from a Y wing to the slow ass bombers? Like that's going
you
from
mean the X Wing?
no in the Last Jedi. You don't have
Oh yeah,
the
those freight.
slow
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
Like
yeah. Okay.
why did you go from an upgrade Y wing to this slow ass thing? It's just like that's going from a World War II tank to a World War I tank. It's just like why? I was like, makes a good point. We all hate that movie.
I no. You hate that movie. I like those movies. Um, but yeah, no. So I got into it and I was like, I'm gonna find time to play it, and I just continued to play Legion.
It just gave me choice.
But it sucks, dude. I mean, when you're game that you invest, and I know a lot of these X-Wing dudes are like die hard in the trenches. We love X-Wing. I mean, since I've been playing Legion, and I'm pretty sure you too, since we've been playing Legion, we've heard everywhere, every event, X-Wing's dying, X-Wing's dying, X-Wing's dying, and then it's weird because like we're at events where we're playing Legion and we hear this WWE type freaking crowd reactions, and I look over and it's just three ships on one side colliding with two ships on this. I'm like, how is this that exciting? And it's like it's crazy. And then like I said, they released all those squadron packs and all this stuff, and I didn't really think it was gonna go any like I didn't negatively go anywhere. And then we wake up to AMG making the announcement that like they're ceasing production and all that stuff. But the weird part is they're still gonna support the events.
Right? I feel like that pretty much implies that they're giving us the soft blow. It's like, here's the blow, but let's cushion it. But this is just a lie for the actual blow, which is they'll probably support it the tournaments for like maybe 1 or 2 more years and then just stop.
The weird part was one of the things they had talked about in the article was one of the reasons that they had to stop the production was because of the painted ships. And I'm just sitting here as a painter thinking, I don't know if there's a single like X-Wing player who, they love this game and they, I'm pretty sure some people have painted their own models, but I'm sitting here thinking like, I don't think there's a single X-Wing player that wouldn't be like cool with getting like a primer ship and painting their own ship. Like you don't need to pay for that extra stuff. Like, and I don't in a world where I do commission painting, like I don't even think like I don't see how that's one of the core reasons why you're stopping.
Well, I think the main reason why they're stopping is because they acquired all that debt that we talked about a few weeks past. And so, like, they're trying to cut corners, not cut corners, but they're trying to cut costs and just like make up that debt. Um, so I think that's what really happened, to be honest. Like, okay, what can we get rid of? What can we stop production on? Let's put a reason why. And I'm sure that painting those units costs money, but I mean, I think I read somewhere where like I was talking to somebody, and they're just like Armada just like released pretty much all the ships in Star Wars. Like, what else do you want them to do? So like, if
Yeah,
that's
I did see that. Makes
yeah,
sense for that.
if that's true, then that's a complete game, right? I
Because
guess
they said up to canon, they can only go so far with those ships.
right,
So and
right.
everything's out canonically, so there's nothing left to be made. So I mean, that's not so much of a bad thing for that. You mean you've reached your endpoint? What do you want? Like different like colorizations of these ships that are you can't even do nothing to them. They're iconic ships, like
Right.
destroyers and stuff. Like
Exactly. And so like if that's true, then that makes sense. Like I don't want them to start making up new models in Legion, like this what if Anakin didn't turn to the dark side model, you know what I mean? Like, no, let's just if they come out with everything, they come out with everything. That's just the point. And I don't know if that's true for X-Wing, but more important, Jose, is you think Legion's next.
no, I see people jump into that conclusion. But the thing that I've noticed is when you look at like all of our mini extravaganzas and stuff, like they always have product and they always have like this vision of where we're going and what we're doing and what they want to do. I keep saying we like I'm part of it, but it's just my game. Whereas like when's the last time you seen a mini extravaganza with like release like here's our flight plan for the next like 4 or 5 years and here's all these ships that are coming like we haven't seen that with Legion. We're consistently getting that. We got a bombshell of information dropped on us at Worlds. We had Rob on the ground hard reporting everything. We got a roadmap that goes for like the next 2 3 years, and on top of that I remember them even saying like wait for mini extravaganza because we haven't shown everything yet. So I think Legion's safe for now. But 4 or 5 years from now, when this track is done, like then I'll be curious because like we hit that mini extravaganza where we're sitting there like, oh look, only one single unit for each faction, then I'll be worried.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what I feel like too. It's just like I think Star Wars Legion is selling really well still. I mean, I think it's still. I mean, I remember it was second unto Warhammer, which is really good. So I feel like there's still legs for this game to keep going. I mean, as you know, there's a lot of models, a lot of units coming out. They have a roadmap, and so that's exciting.
They're even reprinting old models like in the hard
That's true.
plastic.
Yeah, yeah. So
Which the first thing that when those drop, I'm gonna sell my old plastic, painted plastic, and then I'm gonna buy the new ones and go crazy.
yeah, that's gonna be crazy. And I'm looking forward to all that stuff. I'm looking forward to everything coming out. I'm looking for the droids coming out. So
You got to be happy you didn't get the CIS models and the old dinky plastic wobbly B1s.
we'll see what they got in the future. But yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that X-Wing and Armada players.
Well, one last note. I always had this habit of waking up in the morning. I scroll through Facebook, typical boomer stuff, and I don't know the name of the group exactly. I was trying to find it. I should have kept a note of it, but I would say it's not completely dead yet. Because from what I was reading, there's a local group that is like looking to take on the stuff for X-Wing, not production, but
Mhm.
like as far as keeping the game alive and in a healthy state, to give players hope. And I think that's great. I we preach community all the time, and to have these like this group of people come out and be like, yes, the game is done, but we are going to do our best, and we're going to try to take this project on in terms of keeping the spirit alive. I mean, at the end of the day, as a player base, like that's what you want, like your
Yeah.
community to step forward, and that I think that is a great thing for the X-Men community. So it's not total doom and gloom. I the only thing I see like maybe being an issue is like when things go out of print, they double, triple, and quadruple in price. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know the scalpers already got them all by now. Once
yeah.
that announcement dropped, people were scalping them. Um, well, moving on to that. Some more news. Atomic Mass Games said for their grand tournament, there has been discussion around terrain for grand tournaments with our game lines, and we wanted to provide some clarity for the 2024 and 2025 season. We're encouraging tournament organizers to create their own layouts. Atomic Mass Game has not provided official terrain layouts for this grand tournament season. Oh my goodness. What do you think of that, Jose?
I hate it.
Mhm.
And here's the thing that I hate, and it's funny because I will live and die by this picture. Jared knows the picture I'm talking about. When FFG had Star Wars, they had their competitive booklet of how to run your competitive events. The very back of the booklet, they showed you what a competitive table should look like with their not size accurate terrain, which was hilarious. But they had tournament style guidelines, like literal guidelines. When you play in your competitive tournaments, this is what you need to have for a 6x6 or 6x3, for a 3x3, X amount of big pieces, size two or more, X amount of big pieces, one or more, X amount of barricades, X amount of scatter, and all that stuff should fit neatly in 33% of the map. So if you broke the map down into a third, all that terrain, it was like 1 to X. Whatever you're choosing to use in those guidelines should be able to fit in the 30 in a third of that map and then explode it over. That's awesome. And we don't have that. Like, how do you have a competitive season and you don't even provide competitive guidelines
Yeah,
for maps?
yeah.
The key point of any game is your maps. Like, and not only is there no competitive guideline for it, you still let the players decide what the maps are, like what the terrain is and what the terrain does. Like, that's wild, dude.
Do we
I
know if
don't
there's even a guideline for Shatterpoint?
Uh, that'd be a question for Nick. I'm not too sure. Actually, shadow points over there. No, I would have to look, but I don't think so. Like I said, that'd be a Nick question. I haven't played enough Shatterpoint to know if there's a guideline, but I know that Nick sets up Shatterpoint tables and they look way better than Legion tables.
Oh man, like it's so frustrating because it's like you could literally have a table with no terrain. That's legal, and I get the, my argument. I think the more density tables, the better. There were more LOSs. But yeah, that's just like a little frustrating because it's so hard to build a table without any guidelines of how you're doing it right and where you need to place your pieces, how much big pieces you need. Like the G Notions came out with jump, was it three or two? Jump three, right?
Three, three.
Yeah. So it's just like I've never seen a table. Maybe I have one terrain piece that's height three. Other than that, I don't have a lot of tables with height three. Um, and so it's just like getting some guidelines from them would have been nice. Uh, so everybody can know how to build their lists and know how to put their units on the table and to build a table essentially, like I'm saying. So a little bummed about that. But it is what it is, and you can do whatever you want, I guess.
I think this competitive season is gonna be wild. Like I don't know, one of the things I always tell people is like when they complain about tables, the funny part is like I'll hear somebody talk about this table's bad and this table is terrible and this table is horrendous. And then we're like, okay, so let's come up with some table rules. And then they're like, well, the table, the way we set terrain up and stuff is fine. Okay, then why have I not heard you say anything positive about a table? Clearly, if you're having negative experiences on every table, then you can't sit there and say, "Oh, well, the table situation is fine." It's not fine. I play normally behind the comfortableness of clone red saves, so table doesn't really bother me. If I get an open table, it's worse for
That's the
you.
point. That's
But
that's arguably the best point. Is red saves army prevail on any table. White saves need more LOSs than anything.
and I'm gonna feel that because like I said, I've spent the last part of like 2 years playing clones, playing my butt off in clones. So I'm planning on going back to CIS. So I'm gonna be on your boat, being like, I need to put my B. Like it was so crazy needing to rely on cover like that. There was like this L piece with like a little freaking like a little piece of broken floor, and it was at an angle. Literally to save myself from Daniel, I crammed all my B1s into that corner, broke
Mhm.
the chain just so I could stay hidden, so I could make a move. Like it was, yeah. I get the white save stuff, but
They got
man, I
I got
just
some hope because they're coming out with the Legion terrain piece and then their future that looks like a wall, a Tatooine wall,
yeah.
a little thin wall, and I like that. And so I'm just like, okay, that's cool. Um, there's this old TTS map I used to play on that had three large buildings in the middle of the map. So whenever you played on it, the objectives would split it up into threes. So you had to split your army up to three zones to go down these lanes. I don't know why, but I always had a lot of fun on it. It's just like, okay, I could commit these guys here. I'll commit these guys over here. Hopefully I win all three or two of the three. Like, I don't know. It's just, yeah. So
I think that if you're gonna have a competitive season, you need to have everything in tournament guidelines. That's my opinion because like nothing should be left in the hands of the players. Like if you want to be like, hey, JR, Jose, you guys determine the table rules. Me and you're gonna lose like 40 minutes because we're gonna argue
yep.
about what's what.
Hmm.
When it's weird because I agree with you. There should be a table list. I remember other events having table lists of this building is heavy cover, impassable, whatever. And they could, I hear the complaint that it just takes time away, but it really doesn't. Like, if you have, we've seen these events where they have this tattooing table and box whatever, this Endor table and box whatever. Print the list out and put it on top of the box. Have that list taped to the side of the table, one on each side. There you go. Like there should be none of that because like players are going to take advantage of what you leave in their hands. Period. That's why we have sucky tiebreakers. That's why we have sucky intentional draw rules. That's why we have, sucky maps sometimes because you're gonna when you leave stuff in the hands like that, each player is gonna try to level something. And there's no player out there, even myself, there's no player out there that's not gonna try to level something in their favor. And 9 times out of 10, when it comes down to like a judge rule, like the player who's trying to like hamstring something already knows he's gonna lose that. So wasting more time. But we'll see how it goes, man. I mean, to be
Well,
honest,
I
my
but
oh, good. No good.
I was gonna say like that's what I agree with you 100% is like when I set up my table, not set up my table, but when I'm talking to the opponent about terrain, that's good potentially 10 minutes to 15 minutes of just discussion. And the worst part is if you guys don't agree, then you either call a judge or you're rolling dice. Like it'd be just so nice to be like, I walk up to the table, here's the little, index card that says everything. And you're just like, cool, that's how we play it, that's how it works. Let's just pick table side. Um, but when you have your opponent and yourself discussing the terrain, it's so hard to subconsciously not want to give you the advantage because you're defining it and you know what you're playing. Um, and that's a little frustrating. So,
So I try to go neutral on that. So when a lot of the times when I play, it might bug some people, but it's just the tendency of the way I play. Like when me and Daniel played, we had a lot of broken buildings, we had a lot of LOS, we had a lot of scatter, we had a lot of whatever. And Daniel's like, "So we're gonna define terrain?" I'm like, "Yeah." So here's how we're gonna define the terrain. These broken buildings are area light, because they're broken, they're shattered. I can see you. It shouldn't be a full blown wall. These thicker buildings that are height one, height two are line of sight blocking, heavy cover, no questions about it. These middle pieces of scatter terrain, they're like broken statues and rubble. That's gonna be area difficult. This one over here has pillars that are broken. That's gonna be area difficult, heavy. The trees, light cover. How many times have you seen a blaster like blow a tree up? You know what I mean?
mhm.
So I try to make my tables when I put them out. I try to make sure that in my head I have these guidelines of what they are already. And then if there's any other questions, like when we had our game, you're like, oh, this little, I have these little patches like about this big that have my trees glued in there, and you were just like, okay, cool, so what is this? Okay, it's area light. And then you're like, okay, well, my dewback can't fit in here. How are we going to figure this out? I Somebody could argue, well, I guess your dewback just doesn't go in there,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I understand that there's tables where those trees come out, but mine aren't, because it's just an aesthetic thing that I like, is having a plot of trees because you can put your soldiers in there. So when we talked about it, I'm like, cool. So what we can do is, you can just move your do back in there, and then you put your marker, objective marker, like where your range ruler would slot in, and then you can leave your do back off the table. I can see the do back. I know the do back's in there. We're not making anything complicated, but that's a friendly way of doing it. Like not every player's gonna be like, you're a giant lizard that's gonna spur forward and destroy me. Nah, those trees, he can't fit in those trees. Too bad, man. Go around. But it's like those little things like that. Like it's I try to have my table, my mind, my terrain is pre-designated already. So I think that just that's easy when it's your terrain. I think it's harder when it's terrain that's already there.
Yeah, I kind of feel like as long as everything in Legion can fit on the table and can move through like the heavy ones, ISP, like as long as there's able space to move, I think it should just be fine. Like I think that's when you come across bad tables is when, oh, I can't put my ISP here. Oh, my ISP can't fit through here. Like it's just like then it just makes that unit not that great and people just won't play that unit. It's just like no, everything should fit, everything should have room. There should be a little bit of everything, in my opinion. But that kind of sucks. Hopefully they're working on that. Hopefully it just
I
kind of got
doubt
her.
it.
Yeah, probably right.
I
But
don't think I don't think AMG wants, we've said this from day one. AMG doesn't seem like they're as interested in making Legion good or great. I think we're for sure a few years away from it just being in our hands. It seems like it's a lot of it's in our hands anyways, because look at this tournament circuit. We're gonna get rid of worlds. We're gonna do all this, do all this, do all this, and we're gonna open up the bracket for tournaments everywhere else. And we've seen what more sparseness in terms of events being in different places. I've seen a lot of UK people like, oh, I can't, or Aussie people, there's only one place I can travel to. When before I had plenty. Like, I don't know, man. I think AMG needs to get on board with hiring somebody dedicated for Legion, like a Legion team. I feel like they have so much dedication to Shatterpoint, and Shatterpoint's amazing. I love Shatterpoint. I play Shatterpoint any chance I get. Um,
when's the last time you
um,
played Shadowpoint?
MCP. I tried doing a learn to play with my sister.
Oh
And I'm terrible, but I'm pretty sure I played it wrong. But
yeah.
any chance I get to try it, I try. I need to get some games with Nick. MCP, I played a little bit more MCP. I like that. But like those things, it's like I feel like they have teams designated for those two things, and look at how fast they're getting things out. Yes, it's a smaller game, but the rate of which they're putting that stuff out. So I think that, yes, probably not anytime soon, but I would love to see a dedicated group of people to invest their focus into Legion and have them be actually Legion players. Like I know LJ is like a liaison or kind of helps out with AMG. We see Seth on the forums, like Seth and LJ, let them pick like three other people and bring them on board and let them take care of Legion. We know LJ loves Legion and does everything that he can, bends over backwards for Legion. Um, and to let him and like Seth, the I mean, realistically, the forums, takes precedent over the actual rule book itself. You're letting these guys make the rules on the game. Well, give these guys a little bit more power, let them make a team, and then let them handle Legion. I would feel more comfortable with the future of Legion past the next 5 years if we had something like that in place. If we next few years happens and we start getting that X-Wing slowdown, like then I'll be worried.
Well, to be fair, there might already be a Legion team, right? There might not be
Not
a
dedicated.
big. I would argue that there is a dedicated one. I mean, I don't know if it's solely just for Legion, but I feel like they have some kind of team for building Legion with all the future releases coming out and the updates to the rules and stuff like that. Maybe it's just the for me anyways. It's just that I know they're handling MCP, Shatterpoint, and um Legion that it just feels like someone's gonna get the shaft eventually. And who knows? Maybe they're selling so much that they could have a bigger team, they could hire more people. The hope is that it's still selling well, they still see the potential in it, they're hiring more people for it. But we'll see down the road. Um,
Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully. I mean, they are coming out with terrain, so that's the step in the right direction, right?
No.
You don't think that's a step in the right direction?
Why am I gonna pay $70 for a fancy piece of terrain when I can pay $70 and have it printed on Etsy and have way more terrain?
Because I
That
mean,
market's already taken, bro. And
it's still,
unless they're gonna
but this is like actual terrain that you can use that's official, right? It's pretty much saying like, hey, this is how we want the table to be looking like this. Here you go. Because you're right, a lot of Legion stuff is third party outsourced, right? That doesn't mean that we can't have first party outsourced. And I think we're starting to get that because you could pay $70 on Etsy for terrain, or you could pay $70 for this. And this is official, right? My only fear with that is that they don't say like you can only use official terrain pieces.
they're never gonna do that.
Probably not.
They're
But
they're never gonna do that. That's why I'm saying like it's a sunken cost. Like I guarantee you, like you're gonna see these things like because the thing is when they showed us the first piece of terrain, when they showed us the leak during Worlds,
mm,
the comments were like, why nobody's gonna pay for this, nobody's gonna want this, and it's the same thing. It's a sunken cost. Like something like something like MCP and Shatterpoint makes sense because those terrain pieces are structurally for those games. You know what I mean? Whereas you're just pumping out a cantina that's going to cost $90, $80, and then you can buy like a third of a map of Jeddah City for a little bit more than that. And it's the same size, the same scale, just 3D printed. And when we get to it realistically, that terrain is beautiful. If I had that terrain, I have the down ATST and I don't even use it for the game mode. I painted my ass off because it looked beautiful. Um, this terrain is gonna look beautiful if somebody paints their asses off on it. But at the end of the day, I mean, terrain's terrain, and you're just gonna need a couple highlights, a couple shades, a couple dry brush, and for all that, you could just the market on Etsy is way way better, man. Like
but the
for
but the
what you're
problem,
getting.
but if you buy the AMG one, you're supporting Legion, right? Therefore, keeping them to making produce more stuff. So it's the old argument of like they're not giving us terrain, we want terrain, right? Now that they are giving us terrain, you can't say. I mean, you can't say right, well, everything you just say, but it's just like it's not good to be like, okay, well, that's shitty terrain compared to what I can get. It's like, yeah, that's partially true, right? But at the same time, it's just like, well, they're in the right direction of giving us something that we can support to show them
So
that we want more, right?
so price it competitively.
Well,
That
sure.
price point's too much. Like the thing that the difference is when it comes to terrain is like, yes, this Yoda costs me 30-40 bucks. And I can get a 3D printed Yoda for 10 bucks. But you know the difference is I can't play with that 3D printed Yoda in an event. Every piece of terrain at any event we've ever gone to is 3D printed.
Okay, so I don't
So,
have a picture of that terrain. You have the picture of that terrain that they showed a picture of?
I could
You
bring
don't,
it
you don't
up.
have to find it because you said it was priced at 70.
Yeah, let me see.
I'm just looking at what's comparable right now. Like I like Legion Terrain, legionterrain.com. I think they got really great terrain. But like a full 3x3 table for what they're selling is roughly around the $200 mark.
Okay, and then so just for comparison, a 3x3 table is $200, right? Is that painted or non-painted? That makes a difference.
Uh
Because you can buy painted or non-painted. Non-painted is cheaper.
uh yeah, so unpainted is like I'm looking at the Dark Temple right now, it's 163.
Okay, so now here's a comparison, and I've seen this piece in person because Nick has it for the low price of $79.99. You can get the Star Wars Legion Crash X-Wing terrain, which is one block in the middle and three separate area pieces. That doesn't even cover the center of the table. See the difference? Yeah, 33. There's like then that's less than half. You're paying less than half for way less. But why it's detailed and it's the classic. It's the brand. I'm a firm believer in you're not buying the product, you're buying the name. Like it's Legion, it's AMG, so you're gonna pay for that title. Um, I'll get worried if they start doing like start taking these people down like for doing this stuff.
Nah, they can't because all you gotta do is, and people are already doing it, just like Legion Terrain is. You just name it something else. They can't copyright that.
Yeah, I don't mean copyright. I mean just like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like for instance, like the Cantina scatter terrain, like it's on Etsy. It's a 3D file and it's 39 bucks. You get one, two, three, you get four, five, six, seven pieces of terrain that's like hard heavy cover, but that's like thick pieces. Like I don't know, like I agree that they should be doing terrain. I don't agree with the price they're charging for it because the one they showed was like a few walls, a few
Mhm.
walls and like some scatter in the middle, and they're like, "This is gonna be." I wish I remember what it was. I think it was like 70 or 80 bucks, and like people were like, "Nope." Let me see.
Well, regardless, I still think it's in the right direction. Um, it's hope, and that's what the rebellion's built on. Come on, man.
No,
But with that being said, um, pretty much all I got for us this week wasn't a whole lot to talk about. You got any rules questions for us?
yeah, I'm dying. Hold on.
Oh,
Getting over this like cough my kids had. They're full of germs. That's the one thing
shit.
about kids, man. Like they are full of infestation germs.
They bring home
And
the
they bring them
presents.
home, and then you're like, "Oh, that's cute." Oh, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Um, so some of these questions, I just figured they're new, user friendly. Some timing sensitive things. But we'll go over them. So this is from Ezra's Melirun. I don't know if that's his last. I have no idea if that's Ezra, but I don't know if that's a play on anything. Um, a Rebel AA5 is equipped with an onboard comms channel. Um, It is transporting a unit of pikes. AA5 is issued an order. Can the pikes be given an order from the onboard comms channel?
No.
He said no.
Yep. No.
Yeah, it's no. Um, Seth responds, Mercy units may only be issued orders by units which are their affiliation. AA5 speeder truck in your example is a rebel unit and does not have an affiliation, so it may not issue an order to Pike Syndicate foot soldiers using the onboard comms channel, as it does not share their affiliation. Um, so does that different then for the Shadow Collective
Nope.
AA5?
Same thing because the AA5 in Shadow Collective is a mercenary, or is it called a mercenary? It's the stinking Raiders. It's called Raiders. So
Oh,
like,
and they're not Pike, they're Pikes, aren't
yeah,
Raiders.
yeah, exactly. Which
All right.
hopefully come out with what's his name, Hanzo, like because he's a Raider.
Tanaka.
Like, yeah, that'd be cool to have him run something. But yeah, yeah, you can't do that. And same thing in Shadow Collective.
Okay, so here's one that blew my mind. I've been playing Infiltrate all wrong.
Oh,
So Scout, Infiltrate, and Scouting Party work together is the title. It's from OSA 123. Hi, one, can a unit use scouting after infiltrate? For example, Padme to enter the enemy zone with the secret mission, or a unit to be arranged. Three. Two, can scouting party be used after scouting the units have already scouted? So what he's asking is, if I infiltrate a unit and they have, let's say, scout one from recon, can they scout after infiltrating? Second part of the question is, after they've scouted, can scouting party scout them up even further?
yes,
Yes to both.
yes to both.
Oh shit. Um, this is from our LJ. Can unit scout after infiltrate? Yes, a unit with infiltrate is deployed and therefore would be able to make a scout move. I didn't know that.
Because Vader has Scout One if you infiltrate him. And it's just like, well, why would he need the Scout One if he does that?
I thought it was just a unique Vader thing.
Oh yeah, no, you're allowed like so the rule is for like even special for scouting party is as long as you didn't scout already, a unit may scout. So like hostage exchange, if you play that and you had Rex, now even Ewoks, right? I did it in my last LVO game.
Yeah, I know
For the
you can do that.
yeah, so it's just like they're deployed. Technically, they haven't made a scout move, so you can scout them.
Yeah, and the second half of that is no, as per scouting party keyword entry. After unit with scouting party uses a scout keyword, it may choose up to X friendly trooper units at range 1 to 2 that have not performed a move using the scout keyword. So all the time I'm like, I know everything. I don't know everything.
No,
Um, so this one is basic to me, but every I'm coming around to the fact that a lot of people are starting to get into Legion now. So this may be news to everybody else. So this is by Ragnar, and it's fire support of high velocity. If a unit with high velocity commandos, funny all this stuff comes up with commandos, receives fire support during their attack action, does the attack still keep the high velocity keyword?
no.
Seth agrees. Seth says no. The high velocity word only applies if all weapons in the attack pool share the keyword. If a unit uses fire support to add weapons to the attack pool, they do not have high velocity. Then the defending unit may indeed still spend their dodge tokens. I've always hated that. Because you not a lot of the time you're mixing keywords anyways, but for high velocity, the one keyword that just doesn't add anything to everything else that adds stuff, and it leads into the other gripe of ion one, the ion grenade doesn't stack.
That's because it'd be so OP if it was.
I
Imagine,
gotta get into range one.
you know how good strike teams would be if you can, like a Civil War strike team, you shoot and then fire support with the Mark II. Like now you can't spend dodges, right? Like it's just too good in my opinion. I already hate
I
that they reversed the ruling on Obi-Wan, where now Obi-Wan used to be able not to use dodges on high velocity. Now he can to Guardian. Like, okay, all right. Like the whole
Oh,
idea of the shot is it's so fast that you can't react. That's the whole idea of high velocity. Like it's so fast, but now all of a sudden, well, I mean, Obi-Wan is the greatest Jedi, so I let it slide.
I mean, realistically, if I'm shooting into somebody that's already shooting, like my bullet's still going fast. My bullet doesn't slow down because these guys are shooting with me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's
I
just
get
like,
it.
yeah,
I just hate keyword stuff like that. Like that's like like what's next? Like this unit can't use lethal with a unit that's using something else. Like I don't know. Like I hate stuff like that. Like in this game we combine keywords all the time, but in this one instance, like nope. Because I've fell victim to that. I'm like, fire support Vader now, and Roman's like, all right, cool. Deflect. I'm like, wait, what? This has high velocity. No, it doesn't. It's fire support. Guess I'll split fire then.
I think it's a great where it's at because the whole point is you don't want too much high velocity in the game. And four reds with no sharpshooter. Wait, I think they do have sharpshooter one. The Delta Squad does, anyways.
Yeah.
It's okay in my book. Let's not get crazy and make the clones even than they already are. I don't want to
Uh,
go to a tournament and just see nothing but clones. Like let's shake it up here.
remember, man, when strike teams start coming back and we see the clones start disappearing, remember I told you.
The
It's
only
clear.
way strike teams are going to make a comeback is if they change the ruling back to where if the leader dies, he gets transported back behind cover. That's the only way. Only
Okay.
way. So,
All
and if
right. So, oh, good.
oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
All right, so timing for priority mission tokens deployment. So we had this topic come up. I think it was our last podcast with Rob when in his game his opponent remembered to put his mission tokens down after Rob had already deployed. Um, yeah, we didn't really we heard how they handled it. And I believe Rob actually went into Discord and asked about it, and basically from what I remember, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the judge was like, yeah, no, because you've already missed your, those things are too impactful.
Yeah.
Feel about it how you want. With us, I know we all had our little weigh in on it. My thing is simply like, if 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 I've deployed all my guys already and you have your last two commandos that you have already placed after I finish my deployment, like I'm gonna feel a certain type of way if you try to be like, oh, I forgot my mission tokens. Like,
Mhm.
no, nobody. I'm sorry, because now I'm already deployed and you could put these exactly where you need them to be.
Right.
Especially in a competitive environment. Like if you miss that, I don't care if it's a May. Like I to be honest, I'm such a I could be such a salty individual at that point. Like if the judge ruled that, like the judge ruling that Rob got, I'm 100% okay with.
Mhm.
Because that's such a supreme advantage with commandos. Um, I'm such a salty player that if a judge ruled it opposite, I would just concede the game. Simple. Because here's the thing, I'm gonna ask the judge for us to redeploy then, and we're not gonna finish the game.
Yeah.
So it's save us the trouble, because my thing is it's such a critical token. It's such a critical thing. Like you don't just forget that. In my opinion, you don't forget that, especially when you've played Legion as much as some people have. If you're a brand new player to everything Legion, cool, you will forget your tokens. But like it's so like ingrained. It's a core mechanic that like there should be no forgetting your complete the mission tokens. I had one game of Delta Squad and I didn't forget my token. Never played them before. Not TTS, nothing. And my token was right on Delta Squad, so I knew when I deployed Delta when I before I grabbed Delta Squad, I grabbed that token because it's right there with the squad.
Mhm.
It is what it is. But based on that, I found this ruling just to get it out there. Timing for priority mission tokens. This is by Sergi Stark. Hi, complete the mission states during setup for each friendly unit with the complete the mission keyword, place a friendly priority mission token on the battlefield, not within any deployment zone. Please clarify the timing of placing priority mission tokens. Does this happen right after each unit deploys with complete the mission rule, or does it happen at any point during setup at the choice of the owner of these units or in some other way? That is to me like that's politely the timing is the mission. I feel like this is a gamey situation going on here.
Well, what did they say essentially?
So what Seth said was please refer to complete the mission keyword entry in the Star Wars Legion core rulebook. Note that the card reminder text is not the full text of the rule. When a unit with complete the mission keyword deploys during a deploy unit set, place a friendly priority mission token on the battlefield, not within any deployment zone. Like I think like even when you read like the partial one, like it says during setup, each friendly unit with complete the mission keyword, place a friendly party mission token on the battlefield not within the deployment zone. So one or two things. This rule is so critical that they shouldn't have shortcutted on the card.
Hmm.
But I feel like as a player, you should know that that's OP as hell. To for you to choose when you put those tokens down
So
at any point.
are they changing the rules at any point?
No, he's asking. He's asking about the poster's asking about the timing.
Yeah,
The poster's asking, does it happen right after each unit deploys? Does it happen at any point during setup? Does it happen at the choice of the owner of these units or in some other way?
right. I think it happens when they deploy.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah,
Because it would be too fucking fuck it. It'd be too
yeah.
fucking busted. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not high on commandos at all. But to be able to put that token, like, come on.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on. You know. Ay, ay, ay. But no, for clarification, people, whenever you grab your boys, your commando boys, you know, grab that token. That token has to go down when they go down.
Remember timing. Timing is always important. Like that's where you just gotta get in a repetition of practicing the list over and over again to where you know it like a science, like the back of your hand. Because if you don't and you miss that timing, like it's a feels bad moment and it makes you want to rage quit so bad.
Ay, ay, ay. I don't know why that one got me so much.
Because it sucks. Like if
Because it's not a May. That's what makes it suck.
yeah.
Technically, he should be able to be like, I forgot. Let me put these down. But
Hmm.
it doesn't. No, dude. No, like it's and somebody had I remember this was an ongoing thing in one of the threads where somebody was like, well, it's just like a surge token. My surge token doesn't give me critical two. My surge token doesn't give me surge to defense. No, it's not a surge token. I have to roll the surge.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
have access to this like all the time.
Hmm.
Oy. Okay, all right. Off my soapbox. So Catan armor timing. This is by a little 852. Is Catan armor declared during the declared defenders in the same way as a dodge token, or can you burn it after failing four saves? So do you have to announce that you're burning it, or can you wait till the die roll to burn it?
After the die roll.
Seth says a Catan pattern armor upgrade is expended when the clone commandos unit would be assigned wounds. Wounds are assigned and as described in the suffering wounds and defeating miniature process after the compare result step of the attack sequence. Um, you may expend the Catan pattern armor upgrade when the clone commando would be assigned wounds. It is not spent during the apply dodge cover step, but the following the compare unit step. Yes, this will be after rolling defense dice. So that is actually cool. That is like I whiffed. All these guys are dying. Yeah, no. Just
Um,
one. Just
yeah.
one.
Yeah. And I like that change. I think that's a really good change. It's just like, okay. Not, I mean, Clone Commandos are still good, and that's what makes them good.
You think it's worth that's only a four boy unit. You think it's worth that's one unit that it's worth Mando sniping with the Ambam?
Probably. Even
Mando
with,
doesn't have any good targets.
even
This
with,
is a
I mean, honestly, probably not. Like, I'm agreeing with everybody on the ambient rifle. You don't use it for that one shot because once you roll that blank in a game, It's just like I just wasted a whole activation for nothing. And I felt that when I played Mando, I was just like, okay, all right, it's not as OP as I thought it was,
You
but
were terrified of
I
that
that
gun.
was it really was. I mean, I still little am because it's just a
You're telling
guaranteed
me if
win.
Maul's in melee, he could still get shot?
Right? Leave my mall alone.
Yeah,
um,
I'm just trying to find a. I'm agreeing with you guys. I've yet to miss an ambam shot, you know, because I'm good like that. But I just think that there's not ever since they took away the ability to shoot something in the bus, like the close transports, that's when I was off the ambam. I was like, okay, I can't snipe a Luke Skywalker in a bus. I can't snipe, these Wookiees in a bus. Well, Wookiees are a waste, but I can't peel things off of this bus. Like that's when it was useless to me. But I'm just trying to find a world where Mando has a target where he's like, I want to use this for
the
that.
only time you really want to use the ambit rifle, and correct me if I'm wrong, is like when your bounty has one health left and it guarantees you the bounty, right? I think that's the only time you really want to do it. Or you want to pick off a box holder, right? Because you get to make a
Yeah.
speed one move. Like those, I think that's the opportunity to use it. To do it the way that I thought people would want to use it, probably not a good idea. But you got to be more scared of Hunter. Hunter just get into line of sight range one and he's just like 50-50 shot of getting a wound on you.
Yeah.
And
We'll
it's a free
see.
action, so it's not like it costs him anything.
Yeah. The
So
free force tickle, that
mhm.
works.
Yeah.
We'll see. I
Yeah,
think
we'll
if
see.
you're I think if the Bad Batch has gotten to choke range, like they went completely wrong because they should have blown you off the table before they got even got there.
But see, I disagree with you. I think they can get into choke range because of their command card that gets speed three. Like literally, you could speed three. And this is an objective game, so you have to converge on some points, and then you move twice. You steady shot, then you just force choke something, or you hunter choke. I'm gonna call it hunter choke. You hunter choke something, right? So it's not a bad
Imagine if you
ability.
use an aim with it. I
Well,
miss. Let me roll my aim.
oh, can you? Let me see
I
what it
I
says.
I fully want Bad Batch to be bonkers. Like I Bad Batch is the one unit that I've been like all over. Like even from when they were revealed, like they were coming out. I'm like, this is the I've been tooth and nail, Bad Batch, Bad Batch, Bad Batch. I'm just not gonna be surprised if they just end up like tanking.
I don't know why you think that. There's no statistic showing now that they're gonna take literally every 13 keywords, Jose. 13 keywords. You could just do so much with them.
I don't know. I want to be wrong. I'm pumped. No, let me phrase it. I don't want to be wrong. I want them to be overpowered. I want them to
I
be
don't want them to
amazing.
be
Okay.
overpowered. I think they're
No, no, no. Dark
underpriced right
Troopers
now.
came out and they're overpowered. I want Clone Boys to have some overpowered stuff. We haven't had anything overpowered in a long time.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Let's not get crazy
Overpowered.
with that.
All right. All right. So here's one that's basic, but I thought it's fun. Because a lot of the time it's can you see me? Can you not see me? Is it from the leader? Is it from this guy? Is it this and that, that and this? Can Grogu use the Ambam rifle? I don't know. Can he see? Maybe. Let's see. So when does a unit have line of sight to another unit? The question is simple. Many actions and effects require one unit to have line of sight to another unit, or LOS. Please define what is required for a unit to have LOS to another unit. We have some confusion between the core rulebook and the forum. Line of sight defined by on page 27, version 2.5.6 of the core rulebook. Line of sight section describes line of sight between two miniatures. However, it does not define what the requirements are for a unit to have line of sight on another unit. In the example on page 28, battle droids are shown only drawing line of sight from only their unit leader to other minis. It seems like in the example of page 28, the only place in the CRB that defines if units have line of sight. Therefore, it appears that the unit leader of Unit A is required to have line of sight to at least one of the miniatures in the other unit to have line of sight. It should be noted that in the LOS discussed everywhere in CRB and outside of the glossary, it's always in reference to specific miniatures, not the unit. Example, the B1 with binoculars is the thing that has line of sight, not the unit. That's what he's talking about. Um, So it's always in reference to specific measures on units, such as declaring defenders page specifically requires a unit's leader to have LOS to any mini in the defending unit. Yet the standby action specifically draws LOS to be drawn from any mini in any unit, determining if a standby token can be spent. However, the forum ruling below, the moderator says, and line of sight can be determined using any miniatures in Din's unit. The above ruling implies that a unit has line of sight to another unit if a miniature, any unit has line of sight to any miniature, um, any miniature, yeah, any miniature. So Seth responds to a unit has okay. So before we get there, a lot of
Mhm.
stuff. So line of sight, he's saying, has different meanings in the rulebook. Line of sight is your leader to your unit, leader to another leader, in terms of standby, your unit to the unit moving in. So what is in JR's interpretation of line of sight? Well, like what's line of sight to you?
Line of sight to me is from the unit leader to the unit.
Any mini in the unit.
Depending on what it says, but yes, like for instance, the unit leader has to be able to see to fire on a unit. So if one of my guys in the unit can see the enemy unit, but my unit leader can't see, there's no shot. I can't take the shot. But if the other way around is where the unit can see the one guy sticking out and the rest and can't see the other one, I could shoot that unit, but only that unit would lose one guy per shot. Um, so yeah, so unit leader, in my opinion, determines most things um, for seeing wise, and then some things trigger off of just one guy seeing another guy, which would be standby.
Different variables, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
I'm with you. So Seth goes into detail and he explains that a unit has line of sight to another unit when any of its miniatures have LOS to any of the miniatures in that unit. He then says line of sight can be determined using any miniatures in two units unless that game effect specifically specifies LOS needs to be determined using our particular miniature. An attack sequence requiring the attacking unit leader to have a line of sight to the declared target is such instance of the specification. So basically, it comes down to what you're trying to do and what it specifies. If it specifies your unit leader needs to have line of sight, then that's what it has to be, which normally is the case in Legion. Your unit leader is like your most important piece.
Mhm.
That's where you measure a lot of the times your attack from. That's why when you place your cohesion down, you want everybody else behind your unit leader.
Mhm.
This way they can't be. I used to when I first played Legion, and you punished me a lot for this. I'm all about does this look cool?
Right.
So when I would play Legion when I first started, I would have all my boys up front with the leader behind because get them boys, not realizing you were just gonna tag the guys the range to them. And then when I'm like, oh, I'm gonna shoot you back, like you can't. Why? You shot me? Well, because your leader's back there. Like, no way.
Mhm.
So stuff like that matters. So
Oh
just
yeah.
clarifying your line of sight is usually dictated by what you're trying to do. In the Grogu example, it's a classic like can Grogu use the Ambam rifle? Or like with ID10, ID10 has a specific command card where if ID10's in range one of a unit, then you get to use that ability on that command card. Whereas normally you draw line of sight from item.
Yeah.
Um, so it's basic stuff. So that was the last one, but um, before we wrap things up, I wanted to follow up with this real quick. So the thing I mentioned earlier about X-Wing and people trying to keep the community going, they posted in Facebook, and so the group is called I want to say GSP, but they made a note, and here was a note regarding to the X-Wing community. It says, "Dear X-Wing community, by now most of you have read the news of AMG ending development for both Star Wars X-Wing and Armada. After that news went public, a group of players representing communities across the world, came together to create a unified organization to take the community stewardship of X-Wing. The group includes the people behind several high profile X Wing communities and resources, and our collaborative goal is to keep the game healthy and guided into the future. This is not an exclusive or closed group, and we will strive for transparency at all times. Rest assured that we will do our very best to make sure that the end of the official development does not mean the end of the game that we all love. We are still in the early stages of deferring what needs to be done, and more communication will follow as details become available. For now, keep playing the game and look to the future with hope and anticipation. Today marks the start of a new chapter in the X-Wing story, and we're out here to make the best one yet. And underneath that post is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 20 plus community members and community groups that are pulling together as a community across the world to keep X-Wing going. And I think that's great. And I think that at the end of the day, for any game you love, you know, that's where you want to be at when unfortunate things happen in your game.
Yeah.
So shout out to the X-Wing group.
Absolutely. Keep it alive, keep it going. Like that's amazing. So, but that being said, I think that's all we got for you guys. Jose, thank you for joining me. All you
No
listeners,
problem.
thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys next time.